Hello, hello, hello. Why, hello there.
Yo,
Smokes. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the
gang's all here.
Producer Lounge.
Do they hear us?
Yes, I already turned it up before. Awesome. We should be good. Yes, sir. You can hear us. Hey, folks. Welcome back. Fucking episode 201. Here we are. Another Tuesday, and it's special.
Why is it special?
Well, we have a special guest.
Oh.
His name is Restraint.
Hello.
Man.
Oh, shit.
Hello.
He had
We're
to,
stressy.
he had to send some restraints earlier.
The legend himself.
You know what I'm saying? And Serum too. Serum fucking too. Serum fucking
Big
too.
day for the community.
Serum day.
You know, everyone yesterday and all day today. That's just
Yeah,
all anyone's
freaking
been
the
doing.
fuck out.
Yeah.
I think we should change St. Patrick's Day to Serum Day.
Yeah.
Oh, did it come out on St.
Yeah.
Patrick's Day? All right. It is
That's
Serum Day.
amazing.
Yep.
It's Steve Duda Day.
Yeah.
Down with that.
SD Day, dude.
That's D-Day.
Yep.
Steve do today.
Steve Duda Day.
Standard definition day.
Shout out Steve Duda. Good job, dude.
Hey,
We're
Good
solid
job,
work.
dude. You did a thing.
And
We're
everyone that
proud of
That's
was,
a great job.
all the developers on their team too, like killed it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah. Well, I guess without further delay, we might as well just hop into it, eh?
Yeah.
Does anybody else want a preamble in the chat? Probably not.
What's the plan today?
The plan is to open that baby up.
And hear you talk about it.
Right.
Yeah,
Put
we'll
me on
probably
the
just
spot like
leave the
that.
room. That's all you, buddy.
Yeah, we can. I don't know. You can ask us what we want to know about it or whatever.
Sure.
But we can basically just streamline through it or hop around through it. Doesn't really matter to me.
Yeah, probably talk about some things that weren't in the last version.
Yeah.
Makes
Yep.
sense.
How things work that didn't work the same way in the last version. It's probably a good thing to. That's
True.
And one of the
Similar, but-
I guess to give context to anyone listening, like one of the reasons I had a chance to actually work with the beta a little bit, not a ton, but I did get a chance to toy around with it. So I had my fill of figuring out how it works and everything before it really came out to the general release. But
right.
yeah, just to
Great.
give some
Great.
General
context
release?
there.
Great.
General release.
Pakistan. Great.
Quite
All right.
the general.
Well, let's fucking.
Sure.
Plus your secrets,
Let me
alien.
hop us over here real queasies. Here we are in it, folks. Let me adjust the camera. Excuse this quick change here, guys. We're gonna have to swap it back when we go back, but we're gonna hang out in the DAW for a while.
In the door with restraint.
All right. Sick. Yeah, well, would you look at that? It looks like we got Serum 1. What is this?
Whoa, look at that, dude. But it says
Oh,
Serum
because
2.
it's zoomed in or something?
No, they kept
It
the vibe,
looks the
you
same,
know?
you mean?
I'm actually glad
I
he
see.
did that.
Yeah.
Right.
It was absolutely a choice that they made to make this.
I think it's a smart choice, so it like looks familiar to
Familiar,
everyone.
Yeah.
Already feels comfortable using.
Yeah.
I feel like I don't even need to take notes for like the video on YouTube. It's just Serum 2.
Yeah. Serum 2.
The Serum 2 episode.
Yep.
Yeah. I don't know. I guess we'll do a quick breakdown of what they got in here.
Yeah.
Now we have a total of 5 oscillators. You have a sub oscillator still. You got 3 of your core oscillators, whereas Serum 1 you had only 2. And then you have your noise oscillator, obviously, but they're all, although they may appear kind of the same, they're a lot more upgraded. Like you still get the OG functionality out of them, but they've got a ton more built in, and just they've been refined. The feature set, either it's been dialed in more. For example, in all the oscillators, you can right click on any of the tuning area and you get this option where you can disable the key tracking for any oscillator, which is awesome for people who want to do like percussion design or just strange sound design, right? It's nice to just unlink it from your keyboard. But you also could switch between like the OG semitones mode, or you can now have harmonic mode or ratio mode. And where this comes in huge is if you're doing like FM and you want to be able to macro stuff, you now can, instead of having like your semitunes or your coarse pitch, you could just be automating the ratio or the harmonic that something's at. So it helps a ton when you want to do, you know, FM between things, so you can keep the harmonic relationships between stuff connected. But
Massive.
Sick.
yeah,
Sure.
I guess on there,
There's a little tip right in the middle of the showcase.
there's a big one right there. These are pretty cool. Outside of their oscillators, they also now have an extra filter. So we used to have, and then granted, you have an infinite number of filters actually, but on the front page you get 2 now, and so that's pretty cool.
That's fun.
Are they in
route them?
They can be routed.
What's the
They can
routing?
be routed however you want, and that is
I think it's just right below the oscillator. No.
on the top right corner of any of the oscillators, or even with the filters, you get this little drop down where you can change where it goes, and we'll get more into that in a second. But this is how you'll see it. It makes more sense once you get to the mix page. But ultimately, you know, it's smart how they set it up. They have the default routing to be just like it was with Serum 1. It's almost identical routing, but Serum 2 now gives you the ability to do literally whatever you want with your routing. You can have everything going through 1 or do series, parallel, etc. You can see down below, we've got where the macros were before. We have double. We now have 8, which I appreciate. 4 knobs is never enough for me.
You appreciate?
Oh yeah, 8.
Appreciate.
But
next to that, we got,
there it is.
yeah. And then envelope section has stayed mostly the same. They did upgrade it to, I think the Serum 1 was 3 envelopes only, but now they have a 4th one. And, you know, same modulation style. You just click and drag stuff, which we'll do in a second. But one note about the envelopes is you can switch them to this BPM mode. So you can keep things in context with your BPM. Yeah.
Nice.
Wait, what? You can change
cool.
what, the BPM mode?
So the envelopes can go to
I see
BPM
down
mode,
there.
whereas before they were always milliseconds values.
That's really nice.
I always had to do math.
Yeah, yeah. And what's nice is if you change your, you know, I like to use these kind of things because if I'm working on drum design or like risers or something, I can just change my global BPM in the project to like get different lengths of sounds and adjust like the tightness of things without, you know, because otherwise it's a pain in the butt. But yeah,
Pain in the butt.
Pain in the butt.
Yeah, moving on, we got the LFOs, which are, I will say, like the feel of the LFO in Serum 1, I think, is really what defined it in a lot of ways. Like how flexible and easy and intuitive it just felt to work.
Yeah.
They felt snappy. They felt good.
It kind of set the standard.
Yeah, it really did. And I still don't think any other I don't think any other synth or VST or anything has
I can see that.
gotten as close to just what it should be. This is it. Yeah, but you can, now you're upgraded to, if I modulate, just like if I assign the 6th one, you'll see it pops up to a total of 10. So you have up to 10 LFOs.
Okay. And that's the max?
That is the max.
That's
yep.
It's a good amount, though.
It's a good amount. Yeah.
I will say there's some additional details on modulation that I'll show you that.
Hey, it's a good amount, guys.
It gives you.
It's fine. You don't need 11.
Well, I'll say this: like with the 10 LFOs, they actually can become a pseudo infinite number of LFOs with some of the features they have that they've built into this new one.
Sneak peek.
Wow.
Yeah. I'll show you that in a second.
Foreshadowing for later. Oh my god.
But aside from that, within the LFO, they have updated it. Now you have this drop down for each LFO, and you can essentially switch LFOs between different modes, like different types of LFOs.
What's Pat? Like, what is it?
So you have now Path, which is a new one. For those who might be familiar with, there's a Max for Live device out there called Spellbook, I think.
Mm-hmm.
That's a really cool modulation thing. And it works really similar to this, where you can draw out a shape. And then the idea is like I can drag the phase, but essentially you can assign this LFO to something and it'll modulate based on where the little dot is as it scrolls along
And
its
it
progress.
has like a start point.
Exactly. You can
Okay.
change the start point. You can't rotate it today, which would be amazing. But at the same time, I wouldn't be surprised if that's something that at some point the Xfer team adds, because like that's the kind of stuff that I could definitely see them doing that. But past the path, you've got the Lorenz and Rossler chaos objects or modulators. And these, they look sick. They have their place. I'll just say that. I'll assign one just so you can kind of see it moving around. It looks really cool. You know, as you slow it down, it just wiggles.
Does look pretty fun.
What's pretty sweet about these is as you hover over it, you can see now I have an X and a Y that I could drag from. So I could map just the X axis to like this level over here, and then the Y to a filter or something, you know?
So sick.
Which is pretty cool. Same thing with the Rossler. Oh, this guy. The Rossler one. I was reading a little bit about them. They're actually in mathematics like chaos algorithms that people have developed, and the names here are the names of the people who made them. So
Interesting.
I looked into that. I was like, is it truly random? Like, what is it? It's just they're algorithms that people have designed, and they're common in the mathematics
feel
and
very random.
Right, without having to be like a...
They're a different type. They're not true. They're not really bent on random, because look at this. If you look, Rossler is basically the basic one. I'll turn off these.
Okay.
I'll just turn these. Yeah, I'm gonna disable this for one.
Nice. Alt Control click. If anybody's wondering.
And I'm just gonna
disable.
do this so that you guys don't hear a sine tone the whole time. But essentially,
I didn't know that.
yeah,
He
Control
showed
Alt.
me.
Yeah.
So that's a new shortcut.
That wasn't in Serum 1?
I don't think it was. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but I've been learning a lot of little shortcuts that they've got in this new guy. Control Alt on PC will disable your modulation. Alt Shift will switch it between bipolar and unipolar.
Nice.
And then holding down Alt allows you to just drag the knob with the modulation without having to actually go to like the little dot. Just kind of like, you know, could suit some people's workflow. But
Neat.
It's the opposite of that in Bitwig. Hit Alt to adjust the thing, and then
But you can see like this shape that the Rossler one draws is actually essentially it's the basic one, and then the Lorenz one takes that into it basically creates two of them.
It out.
It creates two of them.
Okay.
And it switches between left and right. You can see it's kind of like flip-flopping on the left or the right, but from the perspective of like randomness, it's not the most random.
Sure.
It's like random between two minimums and maximums, right?
Right.
Which could be
It's
really
got a
cool.
compressor on it.
Yeah. It's kind of being pushed out from the middle. Notice it doesn't spend a lot of time here in the center. It's spending a lot of time orbiting on the left or the right. So like there's benefits of using these. And I'll show a little bit later, like one of the ways I found using this can be really cool. Past that, we've got sample and hold, which I think is a much needed thing in Serum. That was one of my gripes in Serum 1 was the lack of like randomness, random options to get. And yeah, this is definitely going to feed my
it's
my
got
need.
smooth, so now we just got a
Now
true...
you have smooth knob, yeah.
Okay.
You just got a true random...
Yep.
That's good.
And all these oscillators, you know, they can operate in either beats or BPM or Hertz mode. So you get, just like before, nothing crazy there. Still got your triplet and dot enable or disable. So you have triplets or whatnot. Rise, delay, smooth, you know, all the basic stuff you would expect with the LFO. This mono button, if anyone's wondering, it basically restricts it to being either monophonic or polyphonic. And it's specifically like if you had a chord
Right.
and you had poly, then it's going to be randomness across all the notes, as opposed to if you had it in mono, it's going to be the exact same for all of them.
Yeah, for across all notes.
Interesting.
Yeah, exactly.
You should show the how it has that randomizer for the step sequencer in the little...
Yeah. Wait, in the sequencer, say that again?
In the LFO. I forget exactly where it was at, but we found out you could generate
yeah,
random patterns.
There are some cool things they've added to just like the standard LFO which is it's so dope.
Okay.
So, grid size here,
Yeah.
just like before. These grid sizes now are actually, they did this so smartly. Literally, like I can set this to 32 and click this drop down, and they've added these options for random curved or random flat. And if I choose flat, it creates a 32 step random sequence.
Damn.
Or if I change this to like 6 and I do curved, now it's a 6 step, like 6 noted
random
curved thing.
And it is actually random every time.
Every time.
John, we're testing it, and it's like every single one is unique.
It's
You guys were
pretty
testing
sweet.
it?
Yeah.
Dude, yeah. We were both like, I wonder.
It hasn't repeated.
Yeah,
'cause
exactly.
I would pull up a shape on mine, and we were sharing each other's screens. So we'd be
I
like, okay, let
see.
me click and see if I get that shape, and never happened.
It's random. Yeah, it's nice.
love
Or if it's
that.
not random, there's at least like 100 presets just
Yeah.
in it.
I love that so much.
I mean, I could see them easily mathematically making that.
Sure. This is benefits to both. I'm just glad they did it the way I would have wanted it.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
I like that.
One thing, there's some other cool little shortcuts I found that they added here. Now you can let's say I'll just draw like a more complex random thing so it gets the point across. I'll do like a curved one. Let's say I wanted this shortcut, from the best I understand, if I select or click and drag across a bunch of nodes, if I click and drag while holding shift this node, it basically extends the max and min of everything.
Interesting.
And so I can go the opposite way too and invert the shape like that. It's pretty sweet.
That's
like-
holding down shift.
Holding down shift, yeah. And you can
Then
also
can you apply an LFO to that?
not to like that whole
Oh, that would
Oh.
be sick.
No,
not to
actually-
that. You can kind of do things where you can like invert,
Yeah.
yes, but it wouldn't be quite that, because this
Yeah.
would be
Sure.
this would be if I wanted just this one little section.
Yeah, that's
You
true.
could do this, which is
Right.
it's just nice for like better node drawing. You can also hold down Alt and like click and drag on the
Yeah.
little handles, and I think they had a little bit of this in Serum 1 as well.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And it's different depending on which side of the node you draw. Like this one, you can
Oh,
see
that's funny. Yeah.
it's sort of
dancing.
like, it's dancing, whereas this one it's mirroring, which is pretty sweet. And
Crazy.
now the LFOs also have like play modes, so you could do forward, so it just plays only in one direction. Reverse,
Ping pong. Let's go.
ping pong, yep. And if I slow it down,
Fuck yes, dude.
exactly.
God.
Yeah, it's pretty sweet. It's pretty wild.
Some quality of life in here is amazing.
Yeah.
exactly.
Quality of life is
Exactly.
crazy.
Yeah.
There was also that exponential or linear adjust where you can like stretch or
Oh yeah. So this is
which was also in one.
Steve talked
right?
about this. He was like, that's like a stupid thing I made. But basically, if you hold down,
If you select them all.
if you hold down
Turn 'em into
control
rainbows.
and click and drag from one of these, it creates like a rainbow pattern across your, see how they're getting this color?
Yeah. If you.
Once all these things are colored and I let go of my shortcut and I just click and drag this, now it kind of moves things in a relative kind of movement, whereas in comparison to like moving them statically, right?
Right. It's more of a dynamic.
Exactly.
It's a control click drag.
That's control click drag here.
Okay. Interesting.
And notice, I think it ignores the nodes at the very bottom. You can see
Yeah. it does.
anything that's connected to the actual edge, it gets kind of ignored.
Yeah, it does.
But now I can, it's an interesting feature. I haven't found a good use for it personally ever, but it's still cool to see.
I mean, it's only been 2 days, or I guess
mean,
you've been
they
in
had
bed.
this in one. Yeah.
Oh, they had that in one.
Yeah. I usually would stumble upon it on accident because I'm
Wow.
like holding some other key or
Right.
whatever. But last things on the LFO too, they've got now, if you guys have ever used Massive, they've added these like wave shapes here, these little lines, like slant up, slant down, and you can select that and it basically turns your cursor into a paintbrush. So you can like,
Oh,
draw
depending
a
on the
pattern.
grid.
Yeah.
Yeah.
yeah, and it's
Beautiful.
dependent on the grid again.
Yeah. Beautiful.
Yeah, you
That's
can see
as you would say, massive.
it's massive. But and you can also expand it and make it big.
Thank God.
That is insane.
Learn-
Just for those times when you want to like really get into it, you know.
Learning a thing or two from
Nice.
Kilohearts over here, boys.
Yeah. Cool.
Happy.
So yeah, LFO has gotten a nice update. It still feels like the OG LFO, which I love. They didn't like destroy its mechanics. It still sounds great, very snappy, good for. I honestly use LFOs in Serum more than I use their envelopes. So it's awesome to see them keep that integrity. Moving on really quick, we can dive in more in the fun back end stuff of this, but first we'll just cover the basic stuff. You still have a velocity and note mapper here, just like in Serum 1, nothing really new there. And then, at the bottom left, still have your pitch bend. I don't know how, you guys can't see that here, but ultimately bottom left looks the same. There are these two new boxes you can see.
Yep. There you go.
Right here, you have a clip and an ARP, and these are actually taking up the bottom 2 octaves of your keyboard. So if you were to move to that octave in your piano roll, it would be playing these. And when these two objects are off, these are just notes like I was pressing a key. But when these are on, what these are is they've basically built a piano roll within Serum that can store MIDI clips as well as certain types of expression and automation, which is kind of wild.
That's ridiculous. Boys, you've outdone yourselves.
It's insane. Yeah, pretty wild. I know a lot of people will look at this and say, I don't have any reason to use this for this purpose. That's perfectly fine. You don't have to go to it. But I think there's a lot of people, every day there's going to be new people discovering making music in a computer, and they're going to stumble upon it and find this to be a new piece of their workflow. Yeah. And I'm sure they plan to expand this even more.
I mean, at this point, they could make a machine like the standalone gear, but it's just a
If you
Serum
actually,
machine.
If you listen to the podcast that Steve Duda did with Mr. Bill, he actually hints that their future endeavors, they're kind of thinking about building their own DAW.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't be surprised if some of this is to get their DAW chops up in place too, so that they're more used to working with this kind of mechanics. But yeah,
me and John were joking.
Look at that FL.
I feel like it
right
kind of.
down.
I think it looks very Ableton-ish. Maybe not the very top, but I see Ableton personally.
I
If
guess.
Duda made a DAW, it'd be called the Doodah.
The doodah.
And then when
Steve Duda.
the doodah.
Yeah.
Not a lot of crazy functions here. I think, see, I can't do like Control E to cut. There might be other shortcuts I haven't. What is this even? Double. Yeah, I don't know. This is one of the places of the synth I have not messed a ton with, but you can see down here, you can have like macro automation that you could potentially draw, like wild, right?
That's pretty cool, actually.
So I could actually have stuff expressing, and I could save this as a clip. I think one of the biggest reasons they build this too is for beginners who just want to have a clip that they pull up in a preset pack. Or it gives like preset packs a larger presence, right?
Well, yeah.
Like no longer does Virtual Riot have to make a preset hoping that you use it the way that they kind of wanted to show you how to use it. Now they can be like, here's the chords that you could play with this thing, or like the arpeggio sequence, which is on the other page.
Yeah.
So I think that's one of the big things is that these, I guarantee you're going to see not just normal preset packs, but people are going to be putting out clip packs and arpeggio packs and all sorts of things. So
so what is the ARP?
Yeah.
Basically Cthulhu.
I'm going to turn this off for a sec, but we're going to flip over to ARP. So, actually one quick thing on the clip side. Take a note at the very bottom. You have 1 through 12. And that, as you play these notes, it basically will trigger each of those clips. So for every clip that you've got, and there's shortcuts down here, so I can click and drag this to move the sequence around. I can also alt click drag it to duplicate.
Yeah.
Can you save those as presets? Like the MIDI patterns?
Say that again?
Can you save the MIDI patterns as presets?
Yep, right here.
Neat.
You can save your clip rack or clip bank. And that'll save not just the one, but all of them. So you could have like literally a whole song written out here and just like And you could hit play and be working on noises while it's going and just flip between different chord. You know, maybe you have jazz chords that you just love to make Rhodes-like presets to, you know?
Can you import MIDI into it?
Yes. Yep. I have tested that. You can, I haven't tested recently if you can like click and drag directly from the DAW. I bet I wouldn't be surprised if there's even like a click drag option. I know there's record in, and I do know there's export features, but I haven't tested the different ways you can import. But I'm sure, again, just seeing like the thought process that Duda and the Xfer team kind of approach this all with, I wouldn't be surprised if they're gonna maximize the intuitive nature of doing any of this. Like that's really like their whole spiel, is make it easy, make it make sense, and not be overwhelming on anyone.
Yeah. For a highly technical piece of equipment, like
exactly. It's like it could be a basic piece of gear to some people, and the next person could be like Richard Devine doing crazy shit.
Yeah,
and
building
they're
a whole
both gonna
song.
have they'll both have the same amount of fun. Like, which is awesome.
I love the idea of the little clip area, because sometimes I want to like make a melody, make another melody, and then I like chopping them up in ways.
Yeah.
So having something like that's pretty cool.
Yeah, I wonder if they're going to add
better rhythms and random things.
Right.
It would be really cool to see if they add like Bitwig's concept of note operators within here. That would be pretty wild.
That would be
that would be handy.
Having like slicing of notes.
Right.
Some of the other things, and we'll get to it in a second, but one of the new oscillator modes is like a multi-sample or sampler mode, where it actually has like, it can detect transients within a clip of audio, and then it will map them to like each note on a keyboard. So you could essentially be programming drum beats in this too.
Nice. Okay.
All within Serum. So pretty cool. Pretty cool.
It'll highlight like a key in some way, I saw.
Yes. So to the right, and we're going to get to that in a second.
Word.
Yep. Just we'll move on to the ARP really quick. I've gotten a little bit more experience with the ARP. I still have some things I'm trying to figure out with it on how it works, but it's very robust. There's a lot of stuff going on. I mean, we can load up like presets. You can basically see, I think if I,
so
editor, here it is.
It's like Cthulhu inside of.
Yeah. But it's like, it's
Serum now. That's beautiful.
So you can see like those clips that you had in the clip editor, or these aren't even necessarily the ones in the clip editor.
No, but it's the same style. Look.
But you can click edit and essentially build your own custom arpeggio sequences, as opposed to always, because
I will love
this is like a new concept for me, like coming from Ableton, because like Ableton, you get these, right? Like up, down,
right,
etc.
Right.
Like all the different like directions that you usually consider an arpeggiator to go. This gives you basically an infinite number of directions and patterns that you could go with, which is also sick.
Can you randomly generate those?
Haven't seen random generate yet, but I
maybe there's a random mode though.
Yeah,
there is a random mode, but as far as generating the notes here, I know I definitely know that Duda in the podcast, he was hinting at using like trying to integrate some AI features for things like that, like note generation or clip generation, as well as like preset generation, even where it could utilize like common preset hotspots that people like to kind of navigate around, and like it could literally just push out a bunch of bass sounds.
Yeah, right. That's cool.
Yep. That's pretty cool stuff. Past that, you got all your features in an arpeggiator that you would want. One of the cool things that is really cool is they have MIDI out as well. Something that I think we take for granted a lot of times, but the fact that it can, you could basically send the MIDI either to the clip player to record inside of that, or you could just send it out to like another MIDI channel and in real time be triggering other serums or whatever.
Yeah, that's what you can do with Cthulhu.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Sick.
Pretty sweet. And so all of this, both the clip and the ARP section, if we move a little bit further to the right, you have these options right above the piano. You have transpose, so you could change your scale up and down, as you play a note. Let me see if I got. Let's go with a sawtooth. Let's go slow. 1 second. Where's our speed here?
You should put a filter on that bitch. This shit's fucking
I can edit all, so this will do.
aggressive as fuck.
Sure. I can go over here, go. One of these guys. There's also, if you ever want to reset, you can just go click default.
Oh, that's handy
Gives you
too.
your Let's retrigger. Ooh.
Is it being sent?
Oh.
There we go. Nice. Yeah.
So you can see as we change like the transpose,
Yeah. Okay.
right?
Yeah.
We can also select a key.
Is
So we
that
could say
just-
C
Is that just when we're in the ARP mode or?
for the
Does
whole
that-
synth.
Okay, cool. All right, good.
No. It is actually just for the ARPs. I'm pretty sure. I mean, if I turn it off. Nope, it's global.
Cool.
All right.
All right. Sick.
Nice. So I can set this to C major, or maybe we go to like, there's a scale selector here. And I was looking at the scales that they have in Serum. It's about double what you
That's
have
awesome.
in Ableton, which is wild. You can choose like Gypsy. Oh.
Or is it locking?
It's pretty cool because you can basically do mode shifts with that. Obviously you can switch between the key, and I'm pretty sure that these are, I haven't seen, you can actually automate these. You can't macro them, these knobs down here, or these options right above the keyboard, but
Yep.
In Ableton?
in Ableton or
Just kidding.
Bitwig or any,
I'm just joshing.
but yeah, pretty sweet. I am nowhere
Yeah, that is slick.
near a expert on these specific features. I'm a lot more on the sound design side of it, but I can't wait to dive in. And then to the right is a feature I can't wait to actually use in sound design a ton. They have a swing option, so you can like, if I no.
Does it not work on the? There we go. Oh yeah, it's there.
Yeah. So that's pretty
really
sweet.
cool.
Yeah, and I think one of the
nice swing on that.
if I go back to the LFOs, you can actually, for any LFO or any LFO that's in BPM mode, you can actually right click on the rate knob, and there's an option to turn the swing onto that. So now you can have swung LFOs, which is freaking wild. That was
Sorry, I had to sneak that horn in there.
get
for
that
one.
horn in there.
It's a
That's
big one.
good. Yeah, so that to me was a wild feature. I remember I didn't realize that swing option was even there when I started playing with this, and I was kind of like in my head thinking, man, it'd be cool if I could swing these. And I saw that option in another video on YouTube I was watching, and just it goes to show this is an example of how many additional features are actually inside of the synth once you start digging. Like almost everything has its own right click set of options that are not just like junk. It's all very usable stuff. Pretty awesome. Past that, then the last you got this new thing called mapping or oscillator mapping. And this is, if anyone's ever used like Contact or a multi-sample instrument in a DAW,
Right.
you can actually choose what
Oh, that's hilarious.
range. Yep.
For
What
each oscillator.
works where on the keyboard.
So you can set, so I could have like a drum loop in oscillator 1 that is playing only in this key range, right? And doesn't get triggered by notes up here, right?
It's ridiculous.
It is crazy.
I
mean,
would never use this, but I could see some people who are like, "Oh, it's the only way I make tunes." Like, oh.
Yeah.
I bet you there's some like weird creative things you could come up with it.
I
I'm
think
sure.
a lot
But
of
it
it
is strange.
I wouldn't be surprised if a lot of this is good for film scoring, like more Hollywood
Right.
side
Exactly.
music production, right? That I could see that being a huge thing. I mean, if anyone's ever used Falcon does the same thing where you can like assign what parts of the synth really go to what parts of the keyboard.
Yeah. You can have yourself a bass down here.
Yeah.
And some fucking
good for performance
lead
too.
up here.
Huge for performance.
Yeah, for church.
Yeah, anyone like somebody wants to riff on a bass line.
always using Serum too.
They will be now.
Yeah.
Past that, you still have the standard mono legato options, your voicing options down here. Identical, nothing new. But yeah, before we finish leaving this page, I want to go back to some of these oscillators and just show you how many options you got.
Oh, shoot.
If I zoom in here, you can see we got now not only do we have wavetable mode, we now have multi-sample engines. And if I turn it on, you can kind of see how it looks when it's got something loaded. I'll load like a drum kit. Some of the visuals on the multi-sample thing, I think they're still working on. But you have a multi-sample engine, and for those who don't know what it really means, effectively it's someone has taken the time to record an instrument or something at different volume levels that they've hit it at, and then also like if it's a piano, for example, they've also recorded different notes on the piano, not just one note, and mapped it to the whole keyboard, right? So as you play the notes, it'll actually change what it sounds like. And I guess let's see here.
FYI, they are not seeing the zoom.
Okay.
No, which is fine.
No,
that's fine.
They are?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, mine's paused.
Yeah.
Never mind.
Mine paused too, and I was confused.
I'm just going to go to this plucked option. Make sure we can hear this. Why can't I hear you? Let me reset really quick. I'm going to init. I don't know what I was messing with earlier. Switch back to multi-sample, pull up that like a pluck or something.
Welcome back, everyone, to John in Serum.
Serum.
He's going to
too.
show us how to use the multi-sampler in Serum 2.
Yeah, pretty cool. You can hear how like
Right.
if I change
Right, it's like a contact instrument.
yeah, pretty sweet. So yeah, that's one idea. They also have like drum kits and stuff recorded like this. I think a lot of their time and money also went towards things like this. Like this is fresh content that they've actually gone out
bespoke made.
Created. Whether they recorded themselves or went with like other companies and worked with them to record exactly what they wanted to add to the synth, but that's just something good to remember.
They didn't buy a library and put it in there.
No, it's not just like something you've heard before necessarily.
That's sick.
Now
Shouts.
they'll be in every
It'll
song.
be exactly.
Yeah.
Here comes the next.
Now you will hear them.
You can basically not use it.
Yeah. Because everyone else will.
unusable in about 1 year.
Yeah. Yeah. I bet there's some vocal samples in here that are going to be in every like pop song or some shit.
Right.
So
Right.
now we're in
Right
the
there.
sample mode. In the sample mode, you still have like very similar options as you would to your normal oscillators, but you've also got this scan knob that
Right.
basically adjusts the speed the sample's
Okay.
playing at, and you can hear it's repitching. I can also turn it backwards or stop it.
Good. It's what Bitwigs does.
Oh, you could make a cool little like scratching thing with that.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
It-
Pretty cool. You can also change like the play, the loop modes of these.
Amazing.
Pretty cool. Yeah. Obviously, there's like you could do forward looping, reverse looping, etc. One of the cool things about these knobs, again, like thinking about those right click options. Like if you right click on scan knobs, you actually have the ability to change the range of these.
God,
they go up to 800%, bro.
Atta boy.
So
I
I
was
can-
wondering
That's
if
what
you
I'm
could
talking
increase
about.
that. Yeah, make hi-hats out of that. Yeah.
Is that at 800?
Yeah, that was at 800.
Dude,
Okay,
it
gotcha.
sounds like really clean.
And you can
too.
still bring your loop head smaller.
Yeah.
You can also reverse the loop heads, which I love. So you can actually,
Oh.
and that clicking you hear, you can just bring up the crossfade.
Thank God.
Oh.
I was like, is there a crossfade anywhere for that? Thank God. Okay.
It does get a little funky when you start going backwards and forward.
Yeah.
But honestly, I was
There's a chicken stuck in there.
I was doing some really weird sound design, like abusing just that sound, and it can be really goofy.
I bet.
Because you can you can throw an LFO on like a macro and then like hone in the range that's actually moving at and get it just right. So it like vibratos between forward and back really fast. It's pretty cool. Yeah, so that's a really dope thing to know. And I kind of skipped over this with the normal wavetable oscillator, but you still have warp modes, but now you have two options. Not just options, but like you have two slots for them. So, what's really cool to know about these is they're running in series. So you could have like pulse width modulation on one. And actually let me switch back to the wavetable for a sec, and sine wave's a good option. I could put PWM this.
Yep.
Go under this alt warps, find PWM. But then I could also, in the second one, I could go in there and choose like mirror. And now it's like, it's mirroring a pulse width modulated thing. But what's also sick is you can click on this and click swap warps, and you can see now it's doing a mirror first and then PWMing after.
Oh, it swaps them both.
Yeah. So it basically, it's because the warps are running in series.
Right. Yeah. Is there anywhere to parallel them?
No.
Okay. That's okay.
That's at least what I found. I couldn't see one. It's just, I at least like knowing that I can do this. And then obviously these are all modulatable and everything. So you can have some really dynamic sounds.
Awesome.
They've added also like per voice or per oscillator unison options. I'm not going to go dive into all this stuff. It's a lot more similar. I think they've taken some inspiration from like Phase Plant's method of how they do unison, where you get that option as well.
Oh,
you can do, on any oscillator object, you can do unison and like choose like ranges and all sorts of stuff. They have lots of options there. But if we move, let's go back to looking at the other engines. So yeah, there's multi-sample sampler, and then you have a granular engine, which honestly sounds amazing. I probably will use this as like my main granular sampler.
I was going to ask how it is.
It's really good. In the Duda interview, he talks about how like the person who built this it actually was made by an electro house / like breakbeat artist that I used to listen to back in the day when like Opio first came out. Have you guys ever heard of Far Too Loud? It was back in like electro house era, but he was like, honestly, me and one of my other homies like favorite electro music.
Okay,
and
let's go.
It's pretty cool to see that they've ended up in a position doing like DSP design and actually are now embodied in a tool that we all will
live on forever. Yeah. But honestly, their granular engine is pretty sick. You still have the scan rate, so you can change how fast it's going. We still have our like loop.
Sounds
head.
so smooth.
It really does. It's crazy.
Insane.
And we can add randomness to anything.
Yes.
We can add. I hear a couple clicks in there, but I'm sure that there's things we can mess with.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's crossfade options. You also have, I like this a lot. There's for those who aren't familiar with granular, it's essentially splicing a piece of audio up into what we call grains, which are tiny slices of audio, and it works with like playing those in all sorts of different ways, forward, backwards, tiny pieces, big pieces, many at once, few at once, etc. And you can actually choose what your shape of the grain is by clicking this little, like the grain shape picture, this little square here.
Yep.
You can choose like how much of the shape if you want it to be actually smoothed. Whereas if you turn this down, it's just clicky. But that could be cool for sound design too.
Right.
You know?
Totally.
You can automate all of these as well or modulate them.
Oh, damn.
You could have an LFO wiggling this back and forth. You can look at all the different shapes they have, and you can also, one tip is use your scroll wheel to change like drop down options. I really love that they gave you the ability to just it's such a nice time saver.
That's beautiful.
But you can see they've got quite a few.
Just the little things.
Yeah, the quality
things.
of life, man. Telling you.
Yeah, it's awesome. So yeah, that's the granular engine. I'm not going to go super deep on this today, but so many. I can't wait to just
Me
tear this thing
too.
apart and
That's
put
what
my own
I'm
stuff
probably
in
going to
it.
use the most.
Yeah,
At least at first.
yeah, same.
Because I don't have a very good granular thingy.
Yeah. So aside from granular, they now have. This is probably going to be. I'm very curious to see what this does to the state of music, honestly. But they've added this a new oscillator type called a spectral oscillator, and it's effectively doing resynthesis on whatever sample. And notice that I'm switching between these oscillator types, and it's just the same sample. Is there, and I can go here. I can switch to this one. You know, it's so sick that they even put the thought into, hey, if I switch between my engine, like use the sample that I'm currently working with. Don't make me have to go pick another one, because that is it's like something you would take for granted if it was just like that. But if it wasn't, it really it makes you like not want to use that thing as much, and it pushes you out of the flow state, right?
100%.
So now the crazy thing about the spectral oscillator is that I don't think it's technically operating in a full additive sense. It more so takes audio on import, converts that into like a resynthesis version of it. It breaks it down into using FFT processing. And that basically distributes the frequency spectrum across, or the sound across the whole frequency spectrum as a bunch of sine waves. And because of this technology and the way that they kind of position it within the engine, they can do weird stuff to it with their warp modes, and you get new, like they're kind of additive based, and additive inspired warp modes. So you now can do like frequency smearing. So like,
Oh my God, I'm about to make some cinematic pads up the wazoo.
Oh, yeah.
notice that we still have that scan knob too. So some of these can get really screechy, so I'm not going to go through them all. But these, I have a feeling that there's going to be a lot of rhythm made literally from these. It's like there's one thing that I'm really stoked on. Let me go find a drum loop or something. Sorry, I'm trying to read it.
You're good.
Let's see.
Hey, chat. Let him know when he finds some drums.
I actually can't read right now. Factory.
You're on piano?
Okay.
Brass.
I see bowed, bass. Do you see drums anywhere? Is there no drums?
There's plucked.
I might have to. Let's go see if I go to sample. Is there any options in here? No, same stuff. That is okay. Let's just. Ooh, I see a percussion loop down here that I'm just gonna try to sneak.
Perfect.
Cool.
Welcome to the cabana, folks.
Oh yeah. So whenever you're working with like a loop that has transients like this, one thing you can actually do, you can right click on this knob and there should be an option for selecting transients, or is it?
Who's like the BPM?
No, this is, wait, I'm thinking of the, I'm going to go back to the spectral mode. So again, I can click this. It's the same sample is loaded. Oh yeah.
Hilarious.
Let's go turn that off for a second. So you can see it's stretching the audio now, but you get that like spectral kind of tone.
Yeah.
Yep.
And now one way, I think a lot of people will hear the spectral engine at first and kind of say like, it doesn't sound good, which I had the exact same reaction when I first heard it. But if you right click on here, you can actually lock the phase of the signal. And this is going to improve its clarity a lot. Whoa, too fast. Like, listen to that.
Yeah, it's so much better. Wow.
Versus,
Yeah.
and then for
The
transient heavy
transients are
things,
smeared.
there's even a transient option. So I can add this transient now.
Oh, cool.
Pretty sick.
So cool.
We can just stop the audio in time. But now we can do things.
So nasty.
One of the spectral modes that I love, I'm really big on spectral gating. They actually have a spectral gate built right into the warp mode. So you can hear like as this is playing forward. This is too fast. Change this range.
That's
We can still pitch, you know, it's still an oscillator too, so we can still pitch it by octaves. So yeah, pretty cool. You know, and you can, again, you still get the playhead for where you want the sample to start. You still can like modulate the loop. Like there's still also like loop modes and everything. There's so many things that we could go into. That's like, it would just, it's a lot of like sitting and just listening and figuring out like what it is even doing at first. Cause some of these are new concepts that none of us have ever even been exposed to. So it's like taking us a moment to take it all in. And I think that's what the internet is collectively doing. And they're probably going to be doing for the next couple of weeks. Yeah, exactly. Like we're all just going to be like, what is this?
I figured I
what
could
did
do
they
this
create?
thing.
Yeah.
What is this?
That's
like,
what Getter was live streaming today, and he wasn't even like making sounds with it really. He was just like, "Oh, what does this knob do? What is this?"
Yeah.
And like, "Oh, the transients are different."
it's
Oh,
the inner
blah, blah,
child
blah.
in us. Or we don't even have a chance to be like super creative with it yet.
Yeah.
And yeah, some people are just running.
Yeah.
But I think a lot of us are just gonna sit for a sec and just be with our thoughts and it for a moment.
Yeah.
You know, and I don't blame anyone for doing it. I'm gonna do that for a while. I've been doing it for a bit. Oh,
Yeah.
that's look, this tiny little feature. If the loop bar has been selected somewhere and I wanted to get it back to default, I can hold down control and just click it. And it just
Oh,
resets like
neat.
little things, right?
Yeah,
Little
beautiful.
things.
Yeah.
Thank you, Steve.
Thank you, Steve Duda.
Thank you, Steve.
Happy Steve Duda Day.
Yeah. Yes. Okay, let's get out of the oscillator for a second, and I'm just gonna pull up. I'm gonna pull up a preset. Let's go find a preset.
Before we move on to presets.
Sure.
We're at an hour.
Oh shit!
I know, and we
And
only
we
did
haven't
one
even
page.
talked about.
You didn't even show
the
him like audio rate
effects.
modulation.
We haven't even
Yeah.
got past the first page.
This is the first page.
We
Steve.
just been
So-
on the first page.
I say we take a break, come back, do another hour.
Okay.
We'll do a Patreon only.
Right. But folks, if you don't want to join the Patreon, but you still want to watch the second half of this, we'll make it available to buy. So you can just buy the second half of this episode for $3.
Sure.
You could also watch today.
You can also stay
be
here
watching.
and watch. That's
Yeah.
true. But if you're watching on YouTube right now, go to Patreon. Always 400.
Yeah. Let's take a little
We're going to take a little
bathroom stretch break.
Yeah, we'll be back, boys. If you're in the chat, thanks for swinging by. Aeon Voyage, we see you. Bezio, Droplets. There's
Fucking heavy
a couple
hitters in chat.
other boys in there. We'll be right back, guys. Like 10 minutes. And we'll get right back to it.
Those were on the effects board.
I
was
just need
like,
the mouse.
Oh, okay. Cool.
All right, folks.
One thing I'll mention for anyone listening this last second, everything can be audio rate modulated now in Serum, and that is one of the biggest deals to me.
You
That's your
need to-
tease.
This part, it's fucked.
All right, guys. For people on YouTube, we'll see you guys next week. We love you. Go hit subscribe and do all the joining things. We love you. And just go join the Patreon. We got some $1 spots left.
All right, we're gonna be right back.
We'll be
yeah.
back in 10.
Twitch will see you in a second.